Yeah, so there's a link to the article from the free dot project. Um, Charity built dozens of tiny homes for homeless. Cops and government destroyed it all of it. Reported on December 9th, 2020 by Matt Argus for the Free Thought Project. Sorry about adjusting things on the fly, but I didn't realize that that the ads would be so intrusive as it is. Um, no, doesn't matter what it is. But okay, I'm keeping the layout on the LBS as it is for the stream. I apologize. Uh, but I'll continue on with the article. So several months ago, the Free Thought Project co-founders made a small donation to the group Food Not Bombs and the Sidewalk Project, who were raising funds to build tiny houses for the homeless in Las Vegas. The group raised $16,000 and built 26 tiny homes for the people who had previously been living on the streets. It was an amazing feat put together by a handful of caring people trying to build their better communities. But thanks to the city of North Las Vegas government, the tiny homes are no longer. Side note, not familiar with the actual Sidewalk project, but I imagine it's this is the kind of thing they do. They try to end homelessness by building homes, as it were. Or I imagine by the title of it, that's probably what they do. And Food Not Bombs is a group I'm familiar with. They basically and you take the food out of the trash that have been thrown away, and then and be able to cook it up to be in edible meals and appetizing meals and feed it to homeless people. And you can I'm not sure if there's, you can probably look up Sidewalk Project and Food Not Bombs. I know that there's Food Not Bombs local chapters of Food Not Bombs. You can easily find them all over the place and help volunteer or donate food for them, non-perishables that will take in, or donate money too. They can easily do that, so you can help out. And sure, the Sidewalk Project can do that sort of thing, because both groups raised $16,000 to build 26 tiny homes. But then the government came in to destroy the tiny homes. Police and city officials raided the camp last week and destroyed all the homes. All the hard work and dedication of the volunteers was wiped away in an instant, along with all their personal belongings of the ones living there. Last week, our local government destroyed the homeless encampments, and we were building tiny homes for that you both donated to help build. Joey Lowski's, who does homeless outreach with Food Not Bombs, told the Free Thought Project. They destroyed all 26 homes we built. The city of Las Vegas claimed that the destruction of homes was just as they maintained this right of way for NDOT, the property owners. The city of Las Vegas claimed the destruction of the homes was just as they maintained this right of way for the NDOT, the property owners. Officials claimed that destroying the homes was necessary for the safety of those staying there and the surrounding homes and businesses, because trash buildup and two alleged crimes they claim were tied to the encampment. So they destroyed homes. They destroyed homes for the homeless, according to their claims, because of trash. But if there was trash out on the streets of Las Vegas, they would just have the sweepers clean up. Just have the street sweepers clean up, or the city ambassadors as well. You have people that can clean up trash. And two registered crimes. Well, we know about what the police think about alleged crimes when they happen. So that was just the excuse they give to destroy the homes. But is also someone owned the land as well, NDOT, the property owners. So the state is working at behest of the wealthy class, just so they can, like prevent homeless people from having homes. It's really just class warfare. It's really just warfare on the homeless, honestly. Because like the organization like NDOT doesn't want to like freely give up their homes or their property for free to homeless people who can't afford homes, which is why they're homeless. And then they destroy the homes. This is why I have no patience for the state. This is why I have no patience for the state. But Lelinowski says the government was threatened by the encampment because it was a self-sustaining community. In an interview with NPR, Lelinowski explains why this place was so important. Lelinowski said the city of Las Vegas doesn't want people encamping downtown, and Clark County doesn't want them sleeping on the strip. So the area, which has been used by homeless people for a long time, is a good place to be. In addition, there was a natural spring that allowed people to get fresh water. Lelinowski and his people envisioned a self-sustaining community at the encampment. They had a plan to put solar panels on the tiny huts for power, start gardening for free food, install compostable toilets for waste management, and derive the spring for more water. Free water, free food, free water, free energy, free housing, he said. It was really going to be like something beautiful and completely self-sustaining. It's self-sufficient, self-sustaining, and I think that's what really scared the government. Yes. This is why I'm against the state. The state is its capital. The state was our current state, which is the institutional government body that it was born out of and because of capitalism. So it's there to protect capital. The state uses the police officers to protect property. That's where the police officers don't fucking care about like their average citizens. Police officers only care about like the property owners or business owners, because they will quickly arrest a pooper in a Tim Hortons or a Starbucks, but just like noted in a report that you had something stolen. They won't do a fucking thing for you. They'll in fact, if they found drugs on your possessions or even sniff and smell drugs in your car, they'll just take it, like I read in the previous article from ProPublica. And so, and the state really was protecting this property, the land, for some reason, for the property owners of NDOT. I don't know what their property is. I have to look it up myself. I'm not sure if I'm going to get a hit even. Oh, okay. Nevada Department of Transportation. I guess, yeah. Nevada Department of Transportation. That's what it is. No, this is what. Yes, I am a communist. Hello there, KJ 9797. I am a narco syndicalist, and this was pissing me off about like, this is what I've been like advocating for, because like I understand it's a bad idea for a revolution. I heard all the arguments. Don't tell me about it. But trying to build a new society in the shell of the old. This is what I advocate for. One charity is doing that. Build dozen tiny homes for the homeless in Las Vegas. They'll build like 26 homes to house homeless people, as it were. And the city just kind of came in and bulldozed it because they didn't like it. But they were scared of it because it was a project where they're trying to like have free food, free water, free energy, free housing, and really build a beautiful and completely self-sufficient and self-sustaining like little commune, as it were, for better or worse words. And the city came and destroyed it, advocating for like their right the right way for the property owner, whoever the property owner says. It was like the Nevada Department of the Transportation that did that. And yes, I am a communist and narco-syndicalist. Because, not to be a raging communist, but I think that everyone should have like the human right to access to healthcare, to housing, to food, to water, to electricity, to transportation, to like the internet, and to heating, and be able to live free of the fear of dying from starvation, erosion, and homelessness and poverty. So yes, I'm a communist, because I'm all for those things. But you see, the state will impose its will for capitalists is because people having free food, free housing, free energy, and free water. No, we can't have that. No, and they can destroy it. So I'll continue with the article. Now, these folks who had a place to keep their belongings as they attempt to get back on their feet are back on the streets looking for a place to go, ensuring unsafe conditions for all. This happened this year during a pandemic. Remember this. You can't have those things without communism. I'm confused about the question, KJ. I think we can have free housing, free water, free energy, free all those things with communism as well. And also, let's be clear about this. When I'm referring to communism, I'm not referring to the USSR. I'm not referring to Stalinism. There's more different schools of thought of communism. Like I said, I'm a narco-syndicalist. I'm an anarchist. I'm for workers' ownership and control of the means of production. And with like radical unionization, workers' co-ops, and all those like self-sustaining things to being able to like workers management, and democracy at the workplace, as well, like radical organization and confederacies of like different like industries, as it were. So that's how I'm a communist, because I'm a narco-syndicalist. I mean, then how do you... Okay, KJ, who says you will not achieve egalitarian society without systemic suppression, but look, they will not they are not even culturally stable. Okay, how do you explain all the indigenous societies that have lived on like this continent, North America, for thousands and thousands of years in an egalitarian society, egalitarian way, and live in anarchy? How can you explain to like people of like Madagascar who live just fine without a state? And explain that about like the Zapatistas and how they're able to like be able to organize a society since 1994. Explain that about like Java that is able to organize a society since like 2014. And how did like the people of like Catalonia was able to like do it without a state, and why like they considering all the factors like quite well between 1936 and 1939 during the Spanish Civil War. If you think that they are not like even culturally stable, or you believe that they're always going to be systematic. The reason why again, so as KJ said, well, yeah, they had a paper about this. It's not the coincidence why egalitarian societies are so rare. I guess for white people it's so rare, but I don't like the word primitive though, honestly, because it's like no, it's a myth actually. They've like anthropologists like kind of like look at things, so like no, they're quite clever with how they've done society. So I don't like to think of the white people as like the enlightened people, while all the black and brown people are primitive. So I don't like that use the word. Or but I guess you're just like proving important that like no, we need the state, or we just have to have systemic suppression. I don't know what. Well, I don't know what you mean by primitive in this context, though. You just use the word, and I don't like to use the word in many places. That's why I said indigenous as well. I don't like to like think of them as primitive either.
because I think they're how they run society is like is sophisticated enough. I see it as it is, though. KJ, I see it as like it's derogatory, though. That's how I view it. You can view it differently, fine, but that's how I see it. That's why I don't like to use the word. Is but I've heard this argument all the time. I mention all these things, and people have said, "Okay, yeah, it works in like small communes and something, but I want to live in cities." I don't see how like anarchist society can't function as a large city either. It's just all about direct democracy and democracy at the workplace. We're getting distracted from the article, though. Hmm. You're wrong on. Okay, so the KJ said by primitive, I mean that it is that they don't create enough surplus. There's no civilization. You're wrong though. The first sign of civilization of society is actually healed femur. So if a collection of people, a group of people, either large or small, are able to help out each other, not do this rough individual bullshit, but help out each other to heal a femur, which like is how far back the evidence that we have seen of like our ancient ancestors with like healed femurs with fossilized remains, far back as Neanderthals or even older. That's the first sign of civilization: healed femur, and you can do that easily without the state. I think it's kind of funny that people who say there's always going to be systemic suppression are never the ones that are facing systemic suppression at all. Hence why they also will say the leg is like the bottom thigh. So yeah, it would be like one of the major like leg bones. That's the femur. So a healed leg bone, they are able to claim a sprint to like have like a fracture or be healed. So that's the sign of civilization, actually. So for your claim that like they're not civilized, it's kind of interesting to me, and it does kind of like show your biases that I think we should get a real example, which is part of decolonizing that I have to do myself. I have to recognize that of how like they think of like white people as like inherently superior than like to the black and brown people or the indigenous people, but that was because I happened to grow up in this country, the USA, or as I call it, I have the command for it actually, ICSW. The imperialist corporations of white supremacy. I also call it the United Corporations of Imperialism as well. We are getting distracted from the topic at hand of the state. Well, it's distracted a bit. It's kind of like connected because, like, well, how does it work without the state? I think it can work just fine. There's many cultures that have like done it. Many cultures still, the societies functioning right now well without a state. It can be done. We don't have to sacrifice our dignity, our civility, or our privacy, just so you. Yes, and I'm okay with my definitions of what civilization means. Yeah, KJ. I know I have drastically different meanings of what civilization means. But like back to the point is that what was the point I was on? We can't. You have to sacrifice. Give up. Have intentional insecurity. I think that's the point you got. Have intentional security. You can't call the cops on someone if there's a domestic disturbance or there's someone you don't like. Because it might be that they were going to steal your things if they did, or they might be like an asshole that's going to bother you. Can't call the cops on that. You have to like handle that problem yourself, or work with others to handle that problem. You cannot have someone else do governance for you so that you don't have to think about it at all. It's just like vote for someone to represent you. I'm in narco-syndicalist. In America, what politician actually represents me? There's few socialists that's even like in government offices. And I mean socialists and not just like Dem sucks or soft Dems. No, actual socialists that want to abolish private property, as it were. But like this, back to the article from the Three Trot Project, which for KJ's benefit, KJ9797, and I will add to the chat again. And because so charities, a couple of charities worked together, raised like $16,000 to build like 26 homes to house homeless people in Las Vegas, and the state came and destroyed them because they're simply afraid of people of a community being self-sufficient and self-sustaining with free water, food, energy, housing without the need of the state, which is why the governor came and cracked down. So I'll reread this portion again because we got distracted by the insular conversation. Now these folks who have had a place to keep their belongings as they attempt to get back on their feet are back on the streets looking for a place to go, ensuring unsafe conditions for all. As for the trash buildup, Lukowski said that they've had a dumpster on site, but then the city stopped emptying them, which created the buildup. So the city created their own problem that they cited as one of the reasons for them destroying 26 homes. This was literally just class warfare. This was literally just war on the homeless. That's all this was. This is why I don't trust the state. Okay, if the Democrats pull it off and win both like seats in the Senate in Georgia, both of the Senate seats up to the grabs, and then we have a 50-50 split of the Senate, being 50-50 Democrats and Republicans, but the Democrats get to have control of the Senate this time and have control of the House, the Senate, and the executive branch. I doubt that we'll get much progress, because even when like what I advocate for, building a new society in the shell of the old, or just like not living off the state, living off grid, as many people tell me to do, the state can just come in and destroy it just because the trash was building up when they did not empty the dumpster. So apparently, in the future, they'll come up with some kind of bullshit anyway to destroy the encampments anyway, because they don't want homeless people in their house. So clearly, for the future, for other communes, you gotta like take the dumpster to the dump yourselves, because the city will not collect the trash for you. Clearly don't want to. Continuing with the article, that's how we knew a raid was coming, even before they told the residents. It is that they were stopped servicing the dumpster, and then trash would accumulate, and then they could point to the trash and say, "See, this is why we had to come in." He said, "It is completely a state-created problem and such an easy fix. Just do your job. Just service the dumpsters." Sadly, it's not just like the homes that were lost in the raid. Residents of the encampments were not only not allowed to grab their belongings, so that were all destroyed as well. It is not about the financial stuff, because I'm a hustler. I can like get that stuff. One man said, "It's my father's watch, who's deceased. It's my mother's last picture, my birth certificate. Who's answers for that?" Because the government was behind the raid, no one would be like answering for it. Imagine trying to like get off the streets and all this like hoops you have to like jump through, and you're so proud of yourself that you're able to get these documents, and you're finally ready to get help, and then all of it gets thrown away. Said Lawson. That sense of helplessness and hopelessness is renewed, and that's what I saw today. Also, listen. A side note here. And like the article's going to continue on the important recommendations from the CDC about preventing like the spread of the coronavirus, which we're still having a pandemic over, which is why important for homeless people to be housed. But also, in order for, as was said in the article, people are trying to get back on the streets. Sometimes a lot of reasons for like people to like be on the streets is like, from what last I heard, three main reasons. Mental illness can definitely get people to constantly go onto the streets, and that's a health issue that's got to be taken care of. But the mental health facilities got to be like substantially, in the healthcare industry and healthcare system, got to be substantially prepared to be able to handle that. And drug addiction of some kind, again, that's a health issue, though. We should not treat it as a criminal issue. Treat it as a health issue. Just allow them a safe place for them to use, and then
not force them to, but offer them rehab options. That's the word, and the rehab facility that will take them in and be able to like help them kick the habit, because it is a medical health issue that's got to be treated by physicians and like experts in like a drug addiction, as it were, and that can't happen in jails. No. I mean, the jails and police arresting drug addicts can help to serve as consequences, so that's something. But it's got to be treated as a health official. And the third main reason people are homeless, economic impoverished, economic poverty, economic downtrodden. When you lost your home, probably not throughout from your home, no fault of your own. You were working a lot, but then then you threw out your back and couldn't work, and then the medical bills piled up. Then you seized your home because you're falling behind on payments for the house, because of the medical bills and stuff like that, and can't work, so you have to you lost some money there. That's how you can end up on the streets through an economic thing, through no fault of your own. Honestly, who's expecting to get their back hurt so bad that they can't work? In order to go back on your streets, when you sign up for job applications, now most of them are online. So you need something like a phone or computer to be able to fill those things out. What's one of the first things that they ask for? Place of residence. If you don't have a place of residence, what kind of employer, if they're even looking for people, will hire you? So that's why it's so important for homeless people to be able to get back onto their feet, have homes. That's why Food Not Bombs and the Sidewalk project raised $16,000 to build 26 homes in the northern Las Vegas area in Clark County. But the state destroyed that. But now, continue on reading the article, adding to the egregious nature of the destruction of tiny homes is the fact that it goes against the Center of Disease Control and Prevention guidelines. Destroying encampments like this one creates many problems, so the CDC recommends doing the opposite of what the city officials did. If individuals' housing options are not available, allow people who are living unsheltered or in encampments to remain where they are. Clearing encampments can cause people to disperse and disrupt the community and break connections with service providers. This increases the potential for infectious disease spread. And we're in the middle of a pandemic still. Yes, we're a couple of months away or something like that from everyone getting a vaccine, or however long that does. The homeless people are not going to get it. Not really. Or they have to pay for it. And they can't afford it. They lost their homes. They have they struggle to get food. So the state, full well knowing with the police help, full well knowing is just contribute to the spread of the COVID-19 virus, because it's possible for homeless people to have it, or homeless people just have to either stay where they are or be housed in order to prevent the spread. But if one of the homeless people gets it, it's just almost uncontrollable spread. The rest of the country has an uncontrollable spread now because so many fucking anti-maskers. Anyway, I'll continue with the rest of the article. Perhaps this is the reason they didn't want anyone to film destruction. Kelsey tells the Free Thought Project that he was arrested that day for filming police and government officials destroying the homes. This is why we filmed the police. Food Not Bombs Las Vegas has issued a list of demands for those who have been unrooted by destruction of homes. 1. Land. We want land guaranteed to us so that we can create a fully sustainable community for our unhoused neighbors. Housing is a human right. Housing is healthcare. 2. Public opinion. Public apology. Mayor John J. Lee, Mayor Goodman, City Council Clare, City Council Black, and the head of the NDOT, which is the Department of Transportation, must issue an apology including restorative actions to all parties victimized by Monday's raid. 3. Make the whole make the people whole. Replace all documents, medications, belongings stolen by the city of Las Vegas and North Las Vegas. Mandatory compensation must be given for all destroyed belongings that can be replaced. 4. Restore all communities raised funds. Repay the $16,000 worth of community funds used to build the 26 homes that were destroyed so that they can be rebuilt and the residents rehoused. 5. Poverty is not a crime. Repeal any and all laws criminalizing the poor, i.e., the camping bans, vagrancies, panhandlings, loiterings, etc. Side note here, yes, that's a big problem. Homelessness is just a crime. They just make homelessness a crime. So when I mentioned in the ProPublica article about like civil forfeiture, that's probably why they want like low-income like people in Philadelphia, mostly black people, I bet, to lose their homes, because then be forced out in like homelessness. And I bet Philadelphia has similar laws of camping ban, camping ban, vagrancy, panhandles, loitering. Because a lot of cities, democratic cities, even, are like these like anarchist jurisdictions, as Seattle has these laws. They just criminalize homelessness, and so they criminalize poverty, and it continuously fuels the like prison industrial prison industrial complex. 6. So back to the article, back to the list of demands for student bombs Las Vegas. 6. Housing, not handcuffs. Drop all charges against members of community, especially those relating to homelessness, as well as any charges made against activists for defending the unhoused, i.e. trespassing, possession of the shopping cart, remaining in the park after hours, etc. 7. Services, not sweeps. Immediately end encampments, demolishments, stop evicting the unhoused in Las Vegas and destroying their homes. Use resources to help people, not hurt. Stop sweeps. 8. Free them all. Release all incarcerated persons currently being held for charges relating to homelessness. 9. Nothing about us without us. Or if Lynn was still in the chat, or Sodium Uwu. All future decisions making regarding the unhoused in Las Vegas will include the voices of the participations of the unhoused. We are watching them trying to defend the indefensible and watching them trying to justify what they did, said Lanowskis. We are forcing them to explain themselves, and they look terrible. And there's a link to like help support them and somewhere. And that's linked in the article. And I knew I was going to get angry with like this one from the Free Thought Project. 1